Chairete. My name is Darius and this is The World That Was. Today I'll be taking a quick look at a medieval Byzantine honey cake, which itself seems to be based on an earlier Greek Iron Age cake, the amphiphon. This is going to be a light, fluffy cake with a rich honey flavour. In any case, let's now take a look at the world that was. To begin with, toss about 3/4 of a cup of room temperature butter into a mixing bowl. And then into this, place about 3/4 of a cup of sugar. Mix everything together using a wooden spoon, smearing the butter into the sugar along the side of the bowl. Do this until everything takes on a very rich, creamy texture. At this stage, beat 3 eggs into the mixture, taking care to mix them all thoroughly before progressing. When that's been done, toss in about a cup's worth of plain flour, along with a pinch of salt. Mix this together into a very smooth batter. If it's looking a little dry, try adding a little tiny splash of milk to rehydrate it a little bit, but not too much. When the whole thing is combined, and still sticking to the side of the bowl, toss in about a half a cup of roughly crushed walnuts. While in the original recipe it stated that walnuts are served alongside this dish, it's very likely that they may have also been baked into the cakes themselves. This would help soften the nuts in the cooking process. Next, using the butter wrapper, grease a baking tin, or if you don't have this, use a bit of a cloth. While metal tins were likely used in the late antiquity and the early medieval period, stoneware would have also been widely used. The original recipe doesn't discuss baking instruments, so I opted for using a shallow square dish. When it's been greased sufficiently, grate the rind of 1 whole orange into the dish. Though oranges and lemons were seemingly grouped together in antiquity, much the same way as carrots and parsnips were, we can assume that cooks would have known the differences between the two by now. So I decided to use an orange, as it pairs very nicely with the honey and walnuts here. When the baking tin is prepared, pour your batter into the dish. Make sure it's spread evenly across it so it all bakes at the same rate. If you want, you can dust the top of your cake with ground cinnamon, if you want to be a really rich Byzantine person. But keep in mind that this cinnamon will brown much faster than your cake will, so the whole thing may look burnt whenever it's in the oven, but really only the top will be just about barely cooked by that stage. Place your prepared cake into the center of an oven preheated to about 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 175 degrees Celsius for about a half an hour, or until the edges of your cake have browned and turned crisp. Take your cake out of the oven when it's done and let it cool to room temperature. But before it's fully cooled, pour a good amount of honey over the whole thing. This will seep into the cake and let the whole thing become infused with the sweetness of the honey. When the whole thing is finally cooled, cut it into segments, serve up with some walnuts and dig in. The finished cakes are wonderfully light and sweet. The caramelized rind on the base gives the whole thing a wonderful zesty kick. The cake will rise a fair bit due to the number of eggs used, but still retains a wonderfully light and airy texture. The older iteration of this dish, amphiphon, was seen as a votive offering to Artemis in antiquity. This is according to the Greek writer Philochorus. They were supposed to be representative of brighter days, and from the airiness of them, and also light complexion, you can see why. In any case, this is a wonderful dish to serve up at any Byzantine brunch you may have planned. I'd like to thank you all for joining me at this quick look at the world that was. If you like what you saw, please consider leaving a like on this video, or possibly even subscribing to my channel for some more ancient recipes. Or, if you'd like to support me directly, there's a link to my Patreon in the video description. Thanks again for watching.